All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into all the stuff you sent over on the 2025 Honda Rebel 500.
Yeah, it looks like you've got articles and even some personal notes in there, so you've clearly been doing your research.
Well, I try to be prepared.
Absolutely, and that's awesome because that means we can really tailor this deep dive to your specific interests about this bike.
Exactly. And, I'm especially interested in what makes this bike such a popular choice for new riders.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure.
So let's start with the basics. Like, what exactly is the 2025 Honda Rebel 500?
It's funny. I remember when I first saw the redesigned Rebel 500 a few years back,
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, Honda's really onto something here.
Yeah.
It's got that classic cruiser look, that sort of timeless style, but it's also super approachable and fun to ride. And for 2025, they didn't completely reinvent the wheel. They just made some smart upgrades to an already really popular bike.
Well, and speaking of upgrades, I'm already loving the new color options they've got. That matte metallic gray candy, red, and
Uh,
jet black.
those are slick.
It's going to be a tough choice.
I know, right? Which one are you leaning towards?
Oh, tough call, but that matte metallic gray is really calling my name.
Yeah, I got that sleek, modern look.
It does. But, okay, before we get too carried away with the looks, we got to talk about the heart of the beast.
Right, the engine.
Yeah. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's a 471cc parallel twin liquid-cooled engine.
Okay.
But what's really cool about that 471cc engine is that it's kind of the sweet spot for this type of bike. You get enough power to have fun, but it's still smooth and really manageable, especially with the updates they made for 2025.
So it's not going to totally intimidate a new rider.
Exactly, not at all.
Yeah.
It's got plenty of pep, 45 horsepower, and 31.9 pound-feet of torque.
Okay.
It might not sound like a ton, but trust me, it's plenty for zipping around town and even, hitting the open road if you're feeling adventurous.
Yeah.
Plus, Honda's known for that smooth power delivery, which is great for building confidence as a new rider.
That makes sense. I was going to ask you about that, because
Yeah.
you mentioned open road.
Do you think this bike could handle longer trips, like those weekend getaways?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the Rebel's fuel efficiency really shines.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that.
It gets an impressive 70 miles per gallon.
Wait, 70 miles per gallon.
Seriously.
That's incredible.
Huh.
It's better than my car.
Right. I know. It's amazing. And with a 3-gallon tank, that gives you a range of about 210 miles. So perfect for those weekend adventures without having to constantly stop for gas.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
Right.
But before I get too carried away, let's talk about how this thing actually handles on the road. I see from the specs here, it's built on a lightweight tubular steel frame. But what does that actually mean for the rider?
Okay, so imagine this. You're cruising down your favorite road, the sun's shining, the wind's in your hair, and you're on this Rebel 500.
All right, I like where this is going.
That lightweight frame translates to nimble handling, especially in the city. It's easy to maneuver through traffic. It feels really responsive, but don't let that fool you. It's also stable at higher speeds.
So it's not just like a city bike.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. It's versatile.
And I'm guessing that low seat height helps with the stability too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially for new riders or maybe shorter riders. It makes you feel a lot more grounded and in control, especially at stops.
Yeah, that low seat height. I think it's 27.2 inches.
Yep, that's right.
It's got to be a big plus for anyone who's, a little intimidated at first.
Absolutely. It just gives you that extra confidence. But, speaking of that low seat height, it's actually sparked a little bit of debate online.
Oh, really? What kind of debate?
Well, some taller riders have said that they feel a bit cramped on longer rides,
Yeah.
Have you seen that mentioned at all in your research?
Now that you mention it, I think I did see a comment about that in one of the forum posts.
Okay.
Something about needing to adjust the handlebars for more legroom.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about finding the right fit, right?
Right, of course.
But getting back to the handling, Honda also made some tweaks to the suspension for 2025. They've smoothed it out for a more comfortable ride, especially on bumpy roads and around corners. And then you combine that with the low center of gravity and the balanced weight distribution. It all works together to make this a really enjoyable bike to ride.
So they really seem to be focusing on that smooth and enjoyable riding experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And that attention to detail seems to extend to the tech features as well.
Mhm.
Full LED lighting, a compact LCD instrument cluster.
And a USB-C charging port, can't forget that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
With my phone practically glued to my hand these days,
Yeah.
it's nice to know I can keep it charged up on the go.
Gotta stay connected.
Exactly. But, as much as I love all the bells and whistles, safety is a top priority for me, especially as a new rider.
Of course, and rightfully so. And
Yeah.
thankfully, the Rebel 500 comes standard with an anti-lock braking system, or ABS.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's there to help you maintain control during hard braking, which can be a real lifesaver, especially in unexpected situations.
For sure. That definitely adds a layer of confidence.
Okay.
So we've got a good handle on the engine, the handling, the tech. But, this is a cruiser. So comfort has got to be key. What's the riding experience like?
Okay, so picture this. You're settling into that plush seat, you're gripping those wide handlebars, and you feel the rumble of that 471cc engine beneath you.
All right, I'm getting goosebumps already.
The Rebel 500 has this super relaxed riding position that's designed for all-day comfort.
I can already feel the stress melting away. But what about those longer rides? I've heard some mixed things about the stock seat.
You're right, the stock seat is definitely comfortable for shorter trips, but for those longer hauls, you might want to consider an upgrade.
Okay.
And luckily, Honda is offering an optional comfort seat for 2025.
Oh, nice.
It's a game changer for anyone who plans on, spending hours in the saddle.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm all about maximizing comfort on those long rides. So it sounds like they've really thought of everything with this bike.
Yeah.
It's not just about looking good. It's about performing well and providing a really comfortable experience.
Exactly. They've taken everything that was great about the previous model and just elevated it with these 2025 updates.
I like it, but we've only scratched the surface here.
Oh, we've got a lot more to cover.
Let's dive into what really sets this bike apart from the competition.
You got it. Let's do it. So when it comes to the competition, you've got some heavy hitters in this category.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got the Kawasaki Vulcan S
Yeah.
and the Yamaha Bolt.
Yeah.
Both really solid bikes in their own right.
Right.
The Vulcan S, it's got a 649cc engine, so a bit more power than the Rebel 500.
Okay.
But it's also pricier and a little bit heavier.
Yeah, makes sense. What about that Yamaha Bolt, though? I've always
Yeah.
liked the look of that bike.
Oh, yeah, the Bolt's a looker for sure. It's got that 942cc V-twin engine, so
Oh.
yeah, it definitely packs a punch.
Okay.
But again, it comes in a bit heavier than the Rebel 500, and
Uh-huh.
and this is where I think the Rebel really shines.
How so?
Well, it's that perfect blend of affordability, beginner friendliness, and that lightweight, nimble frame that we talked about. Plus, it's got the edge when it comes to tech, with those modern features.
Yeah, that's true. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks of cruisers then.
Uh-huh. I like that.
Not too big, not too small, just right.
Exactly, especially for someone starting out.
That's a great point. And speaking of new riders, we've touched on this a bit,
Yeah.
but why is the Rebel 500 such a popular choice for them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about the manageable power, the low seat height, the overall ease of handling, but it feels like there's more to it.
Yeah, there definitely is. It's got this really approachable personality.
Okay.
It's not intimidating like some of those bigger, more powerful cruisers.
Right.
The Rebel 500 just kind of lets you learn at your own pace and build confidence without feeling overwhelmed.
I could see that. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's inviting you to hop on and just go for a ride.
Exactly. No pressure,
No pressure.
Yeah.
I like that. But I've seen some critics say that it lacks character
Mm.
compared to, some of those more powerful bikes.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And while it's true that it doesn't have, that same raw power,
Mm-hmm.
I think what it might lack in brute force, it definitely makes up for in personality.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rebel 500 is all about style and substance. It's comfortable in its own skin, and I think that resonates with a lot of riders, especially beginners.
So it's more about the overall experience than just, the numbers on a spec sheet.
Exactly. It's the whole package. And speaking of experience,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the amazing community that surrounds the Rebel 500.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It's not just about the bike itself. It's about the people you meet and the experiences you share.
You got it.
I've heard there are tons of online forums and groups dedicated to the Rebel 500.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. And they're not just for, sharing tech tips or asking for advice.
Right.
It's about connecting with like-minded people who share that same passion for riding.
Oh.
You'll find seasoned riders offering guidance to newbies, stories from epic road trips, and even photos of, customized Rebels that'll just blow your mind.
I bet. So it's like a whole support system then.
Absolutely, especially for someone new to the world of motorcycles.
Yeah.
It's great to have that network of people who can answer your questions and offer support.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that sense of community is something that's often overlooked when people are shopping for a motorcycle,
I agree.
but it can really make a huge difference in the overall ownership experience.
It really can. It's like you're joining a family.
Yeah. And, we talked earlier about how reliable Hondas are in general, but is there anything specific that stands out about the Rebel 500's reliability?
Well, first of all, it's a Honda.
Right.
So you already know you're getting a solid machine.
Huh. Right.
Owners consistently report very few issues with the Rebel 500.
Okay.
Regular maintenance is key. Of course, oil changes every 4,000 miles, valve inspections at 16,000.
Gotcha.
But beyond that, it's a bike that's really built to last.
And what about parts? Are they easy to come by if you need them?
Absolutely. Honda has a huge dealer network and a great reputation for customer service.
Yep.
So if you do run into any issues, you can rest assured that you'll be taken care of.
Right.
Plus, there's a ton of aftermarket support for the Rebel 500.
Oh, cool.
So you can easily find parts and accessories to customize it to your liking.
Oh, speaking of customization, that's something I definitely want to explore further.
Yeah.
It seems like the possibilities are kind of endless with this bike.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like a blank canvas just waiting for your personal touch.
Awesome.
Whether you want to add saddlebags for practicality, a windshield for wind protection, or even a custom exhaust for a little extra rumble. The sky's the limit.
I love that. You
Yeah.
can really make it your own. But you know what? As much as I love the idea of tricking it out, I'm also really drawn to the simplicity of the stock design.
Oh, yeah. I totally get that. The Rebel 500 has that minimalist, stripped-down aesthetic that's really appealing.
Mm-hmm.
And those new color options for 2025 just add to the cool factor.
Right.
That matte metallic gray, for example, it's so sleek and modern.
It is.
It just oozes
It
sophistication.
really does. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about the overall rider experience.
Mhm.
You mentioned earlier that it's got this relaxed, approachable vibe.
Yeah.
But what does that actually feel like when you're on the road?
Okay, so imagine this. You're cruising down a scenic back road, the wind in your hair, the sun on your face, and the Rebel 500, it just kind of melts away beneath you. You're not fighting the bike, you're flowing with it.
That sounds so peaceful.
It is. It's one of the things I love most about riding this bike.
And that's what makes it so much fun to ride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The engine purrs like a kitten, the handling is effortless, and that relaxed riding position, it just invites you to soak in the scenery,
Yeah.
It's a bike that makes you want to keep riding, to explore new roads, to experience that freedom of the open road.
Okay, now you're making me want to book a trip.
Uh-huh.
Seriously. It's that feeling of freedom and adventure that draws so many people to motorcycling in the first place, right?
Absolutely. And the Rebel 500, it's just the perfect vehicle for that.
Mm.
It's a bike that encourages you to slow down, to appreciate the journey, and to connect with the world around you.
We've talked a lot about the technical specs and the features,
Yeah.
but what I'm really interested in is that emotional connection that people seem to have with this bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's like more than just a machine to a lot of riders.
You're right. It's a symbol of freedom, independence, self-expression. And the Rebel 500 with its classic cruiser styling and its customizable nature,
Yeah.
it really taps into that emotional connection.
Right. It's a bike that reflects your personality, your style, your story.
Exactly. And it's not just about the individual either.
Right.
There's that whole sense of community that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The Rebel 500, it's kind of like a gateway to a whole world of like-minded people who share your passion for riding.
It's like a club.
Yeah, sort of. Whether you're joining a local riding group, participating in online forums, or just, waving to fellow Rebel riders on the road, there's a sense of camaraderie that's hard to find elsewhere.
It's like a secret society of cool people
Aha, exactly.
who just happen to love riding the same bike.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. But, as much as I love that social aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
there's also a certain solitary beauty to riding a motorcycle.
Oh, for sure.
Those moments when it's just you, the bike, and the open road?
Yeah,
They're pure magic.
I totally get that. There's something so meditative about riding a motorcycle. It's like you can clear your head and just be present in the moment.
Exactly. It's a form of therapy almost,
Yeah.
a way to escape the everyday stresses of life and just reconnect with yourself.
Right.
And the Rebel 500, with its relaxed riding position and its smooth, forgiving nature, it's the perfect bike for those contemplative rides.
So it's a bike for both the extrovert and the introvert,
I like that.
the social butterfly and the lone wolf.
Yeah, it really is. It's a bike that can adapt to your mood, your needs, your riding style.
That's a great way to summarize it.
Well, you know what? As much as we've talked about the Rebel 500, there's still so much more to explore.
I know, right?
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what we've covered so far. What's standing out to you the most?
Honestly, it's hard to pick just one thing.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive's been eye-opening.
Yeah.
I went from thinking this was just like a decent starter bike to realizing it's so much more than that.
It's easy to underestimate the Rebel 500. People
Mm,
see that 500cc engine and they think, oh, it's a stepping stone to bigger bikes.
right.
But it really can be so much more than that.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's all about finding the right fit. And for a lot of riders, the Rebel 500 is that perfect fit.
I think so.
Regardless of their experience level,
Mm-hmm.
the affordability, the fuel efficiency, the reliability, the style, the community,
Yeah.
it all adds up to a really compelling package,
It does. And you know what? We can't forget about the fun factor.
right?
This bike is a joy to ride. I mean, whether you're carving canyons or just cruising down Main Street, the Rebel 500 just puts a smile on your face.
Speaking of fun, I keep coming back to that customization aspect.
Yeah.
You mentioned it being like a blank canvas,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just picturing all the possibilities.
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
I know.
You can add saddlebags for practicality, a windshield for wind protection, even a custom exhaust for a little extra rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Some riders go all out with custom paint jobs, unique modifications.
I bet. It's like taking that self-expression we talked about to a whole new level.
Exactly.
And I love that Honda encourages that by offering a wide range of factory accessories.
Oh, for sure.
They even have a passenger backrest, so you can share the fun with a friend.
That's right. And that's something to consider.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself riding solo or with a passenger? Do you prioritize practicality or style?
Right.
The beauty of the Rebel 500 is that it can be whatever you want it to be.
Okay. I'm officially hooked. I was already leaning towards checking out the Rebel 500. But after this deep dive, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I need to schedule a test ride.
I think you do.
It's just hitting all the right notes.
Well, there's something about the Rebel 500 that gets under your skin.
Yeah.
It's more than just a motorcycle. It's like a lifestyle, a community, a way of life.
And you don't have to be a seasoned rider to appreciate that.
No, not at all.
It's a bike that welcomes everyone you know, whether you're a seasoned veteran or a wide-eyed newbie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bike that can take you on adventures, big and small, near and far.
And that's the beauty of it. The possibilities are endless. So with all that we've uncovered about the 2025 Honda Rebel 500, what kind of riding experience do you see yourself having? What roads are you picturing yourself cruising down?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's about those weekend escapes,
Yeah.
exploring hidden back roads, discovering those quaint towns, maybe even doing some camping under the stars.
Sounds amazing.
And knowing that I have a reliable, fuel-efficient, and stylish bike that can handle it all just adds to the excitement.
It does. It really does. It
Yeah.
sounds like the Rebel 500 is calling your name.
Yeah.
And you know what? That feeling, that connection you're feeling, it's not just about the specs or the features. It's about finding a bike that resonates with your soul. And it sounds like you might have just found yours.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening, if you're looking for a bike that's approachable, versatile, stylish, and just plain fun to ride,
Yeah,
the 2025 Honda Rebel 500 deserves a serious look.
for sure.
Do your research, schedule a test ride, and see for yourself what all the hype is about.
And don't be afraid to jump into that amazing Rebel 500 community.
Yeah.
You might be surprised at the connections you make and the adventures that await.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the 2025 Honda Rebel 500. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. Now get out there and ride.